I'm Nicola Hume and welcome back to a very special episode of Talking Bull. So we have travelled everywhere over the last few weeks. We were at Silverstone last week and now we're down in Goodwood on the south coast at the Festival of Speed, which is just an incredible experience being here because this is every car lover's mecca. But at the same time, we're celebrating 20 years of Red Bull being part of Formula One. And hey, we've got cars going up the hill, and then we also had a reveal of something very, very special. It was all revealed yesterday. We're recording this on the Saturday. The car was unveiled yesterday. It's the brand new Hypercar, the RB17. And hey, to talk us through it, I just happened to be joined by the legend himself, the guy who designed it, Adrian Newey. Hi, Adrian.
Thank you. Hi.
Welcome back. Thanks for coming back on the podcast.
No, just admiring the Airstream. It's very comfortable in here.
It's not too bad, is it?
No, right.
I mean, since I spoke to you last, back in February, you have been extremely busy because we spoke about the RB17. So if you do want to go back and listen to that episode, by the way, it's very interesting. But for those that haven't listened to that episode, how would you describe what the RB17 is? Go.
No pressure then. Well, it really comes back to a concept I had a while ago, which was I've been lucky enough over the years to have driven a huge variety of cars from 60s classics through to modern Formula One cars. And I race the 60s cars and I enjoy driving them, love driving them. But for sheer excitement and adrenaline and so forth, the rush that you get from driving a Formula One car is something else. So I started to think, okay, well, could we conceive of a car that would be capable of Formula One levels of performance, but you could grow with the car so that somebody with relatively limited experience could go out on track, enjoy the car and build with the car. And I kind of pictured that in my own head as like, let's say you decide you want to start playing golf. So you go to a golf course and you hit a few balls and they go flying everywhere.
Yeah.
But you enjoy the game.
Yeah.
So then you think, right, well, I want to get better. So you hire a caddy, effectively a coach.
Yeah.
And then you kind of continue to enjoy the game, but also, of course, part of the challenge becomes getting better at the game. And so that was how I pictured this car, that to try to come up with a car which would be accessible to somebody with relatively limited experience, that they would be able to feel the car, it would be benign, not too snappy, not too difficult to drive. And then as you develop your own abilities, then the car will be adaptable and you can tune it, and you would have different tyres and different levels of downforce and so forth, so that you can grow with the car, where ultimately, I mean, admittedly in the hands of a professional, it's capable of Formula One lap time. So we actually had one of our customers on the simulator the other day, who's not a professional in fact, but a very good amateur driver. And he, in the driving simulator, he went second. He would have been on pole at Silverstone by 1 second in the car.
No.
So it has a lot of potential.
Stop it. You have created a beast. I mean, so from where we're sat right now in the Airstream, I can see just a smidge of it out there. The reaction has been unbelievable since it was unveiled yesterday, since I saw that video of you and Christian Horner peeling back everything else and revealing the car, and the reaction has been phenomenal. Is that the reaction you expected?
It's the reaction you hope for, of course. I mean, it's always a bit of nervousness and trepidation unveiling a car like this to the public for the first time, because you don't know, people are going to like it, or they're going to pick holes in it, or what's going to happen. And I also, it's funny because I'm, I suppose, by nature very self-critical, and so that the model that was unveiled yesterday is actually a year old, so it's what I would call the second evolution of the car.
Right.
Bearing in mind that we were 3 years in concept phase. So now the car that we will actually be manufacturing, the third evolution, has moved on quite a lot from what was unveiled yesterday.
So it's better than that?
In my opinion, in our opinion, yes it is.
I mean, so
it's more developed.
You're making 50.
Yeah.
So if it's still being developed, then is there 50 right now in some sort of amazing tightly locked up storage place, or do you kind of build them to order?
No, so we're just starting the manufacturing stage now. So we have a few components, some suspension components, a rear crash structure, bits and pieces. Right. The engine will be on the dyno in September. Okay. We're very much into detailed design now. So the monocoque, the tub, is in the process of being released, so that'll be in manufacture shortly. Yeah. So normal thing is with racing cars that you concentrate on the longest lead items, the things that take the longest to draw and to manufacture. Yeah. and then you kind of concentrate on those, keep developing the ones that are shorter time until they become the critical item, and then you release them. So as I say, the core hardware now is what we call frozen, so it's fixed. We can't change it because we need to get on with releasing all the drawings and manufacturing. Right. And then we'll keep up working on all the other bits and pieces. I was actually very unpopular about 2 or 3 weeks ago, where I wasn't terribly happy with the exhaust layout, and particularly where the tailpipes were exiting and the angle and so forth. So I changed that, and that affected a part which was about to be released. Oh. So there's a bit of God.
So have you been a bit of a pain with this thing? Because essentially this is your baby. Like, you've created this, designed it from scratch. This has been a dream of yours to create something like this. I mean, I know in the past we've had the Valkyrie, things like that, but this seems to be you in a nutshell. So I guess you can be as precious as you like about certain tiny components.
Yes, but I mean, it's a team effort. It's researched and designed and manufactured and assembled in exactly the same way as we assemble the Formula 1 cars, and so of course that means a big team. So at the moment on the engineering and design and support, then we're up to 140 people on this project. Because to do a car to this level, the challenge I described earlier, it's easy to say it, it's not so easy to deliver it. Yeah. So it's been a big challenge to come up with it, and the driving experience obviously is the key. That's what we want to concentrate on, but also I wanted the car to look good, which of course is subjective.
Which it does. Can confirm.
Subjective, and I wanted to sound good. So there was a lot of iterations we went through. The very first drawing I did of the car was actually over the Christmas period of 2020 into 21.
That was a while ago.
It was a while ago, which did give me a very busy 21, because we were developing the RB17 Bath, because we were in the championship battle. We were doing all the research for and layout drawings for the 22 car with the big regulation change, and we were doing the background research for this car. So it was self-induced, but quite a busy year. And the car went through a lot of iterations. It started out as the electric motor on the front axle to give it four-wheel drive, but simulation showed that it's actually faster to save the weight and just put it on the rear axle. It started out the V8 twin turbo. Everybody, of course, wanted a normally aspirated. It was how could we get a normally aspirated to give the power and the package size and the weight targets that we had set ourselves. So that was quite a challenge, which once our powertrains group started, opportune timing, then we started to come up with solutions working with that young group. Hence the V10 normally aspirated.
I can't wait to hear what it sounds like.
Well, I think myself included, then probably the best sounding Formula 1 cars were the V10s of the sort of 90s through to 2005. Those high revving V10s.
Yeah, it's the higher pitch, isn't it?
And the higher pitch of the V10. I just think it's amazing. And particularly when I was at McLaren, it's obviously a performance reason, not anything else, but we had a 10-to-1 exhaust pipe system, so the pipes all came together at the back, and that gave a much higher pitch. So we've been careful on this to do the same, to make sure that it's effectively a single exhaust pipe at the exit.
Now, naturally, you are talk of the town at the moment. We have had loads of messages that have come through via the Red Bull Racing paddock. So here we go. First one from Carmen in the Netherlands, who says, where do you find yourself drawing inspiration from for your designs? Is it nature, planes, boats, or is it purely a technical process?
It's a very good question. It is from a variety of things. I mean, of course, it's primarily a technical process, but you have to have the I suppose, first of all, it's understanding the principles of what you're trying to achieve, and then looking at solutions. But looking around in, to an extent, nature, which has become quite a big thing, where a lot of engineers are studying bird flight in more detail, insect flight, how some sharks, etc., can be so efficient, all that sort of thing. The biometrics, it's become quite a big thing, and certainly if I look at some of the solutions that birds have for very high efficiencies, then there are things that have been learnt and are applied. I'm not saying necessarily that's been applied here, but there are things like the air intake, which was, it's something I did way back at Williams, and then I think I've carried forward ever since, which was really came from looking out of the window of a little propeller aircraft and looking at how the intake was for the. So, and we had a similar problem on a Formula car where you got an intake just behind the helmet. So that aircraft solution was elegant, and that's what we applied on the Williams back in '97. So I think I do always try to keep my eyes open.
Yeah.
And I think curiosity is such a valuable thing. It can be curious about, obviously I'm well known for looking around on the grid.
Yeah. I've seen a few photos of you in your notebook.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's looking at what other people are doing and trying to and just thinking, okay, why are they doing that? And that doesn't necessarily mean you then directly copy it. It just is trying to understand other people's thought processes and whether we can learn anything from that.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah. This is from Austin in the USA, who says, how many lateral Gs can the RB17 pull?
I should know that, shouldn't I?
You should know that.
Yeah, and I don't. It's around 5, but don't tell me exactly.
Around 5, blimey. This is from Costas in Cyprus, who says, how many nights did you stay awake thinking about the RB17? Was it worth the effort and the time? Dreaming about it, about aerodynamics.
Well, it is one of the curses I sometimes suffer. So I actually woke up at 5 o'clock this morning, because as I mentioned earlier, I've been thinking that I'm not that happy with the exhaust and how it interacts with the back end of the car.
Yeah.
And so we're working away on that, and I came up with a sort of development of how we can do that at 5 in the morning. So I then had to get up, much to the annoyance of my wife, because I woke her up in the process and started sketching this new solution. So
at 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
Although I suppose that's when your brain is at its most relaxed, and then that's where the ideas come. So for me, I'm more productive when I'm in the bath.
Yeah, I think this is actually that. So I mean, sometimes. Sorry
for the noise, by the way. We are at Festival of Speed. There's lots of revving going on in the background, just in case you were wondering what that was.
That sounds like Dougie on his bike, actually, doesn't it? I think the relaxers is actually right. So a lot of the ideas I've had over the years, some of them have been in the shower.
Yeah.
Or actually I find flying because flying you're kind of relaxed. There's nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So I think your mind just drifts, and I do find that because so often we're time pressured.
Yeah.
And when you're pressured, it's difficult to then be creative.
Yeah, you're forced to just think of things, whereas when your mind is completely relaxed, that's when the ideas come. Very nice. This is a really good question, actually. This is from Yashvin in India, who says, were there any challenges while designing the RB17, like making it road legal? Because it's not road legal, is it? Or limiting top speed and downforce?
Well, the road legal, I can't comment because it's a track car. What people do with it afterwards is up to them.
It's out of your control.
It's out of our control, exactly. The tyres were a big consideration. So very early on, we entered with a contract with Michelin to develop tyres specially for the car.
Yeah.
But even with those special tyres, we have to start reducing the downforce above 150 miles an hour.
Well, so this is what I've heard. So yeah. I heard that it can't go faster than 370 kilometres per hour because the downforce is so forceful that it will burst the tyres.
Yeah, so that's in the straight line, but actually in cornering we have to start reducing at 150, which is about 250k.
Right.
Because otherwise, again, same reason. So that also then means, because obviously it's total tyre load, so it's the weight of the car plus the aero load.
Yeah.
So one of the many reasons for really focusing on trying to get the weight as low as possible was because we knew that ultimately in high speed we'd be tyre limited.
That's crazy. Also, like when you see a car that's designed like that, you instantly go, that would be amazing at Le Mans. But actually, I think it's too fast for Le Mans.
It's way too fast for Le Mans.
What a flex!
Yeah.
Sorry, it's too quick for Le Mans.
Yeah,
That's bonkers.
I mean, I'm not sure what the lap time. There are some circuits where we go to, where both the Formula One cars and the Le Mans cars go to Spa, Austin, Kota, etc. And I honestly can't remember what the lap time difference is, because it's a big difference.
Yeah. This is from Kristin's in the USA, who says, do you remain creative and innovative, or do you ever find yourself in an engineering writer's block? And how do you overcome those blocks if they do happen?
Another very good question. Yes, I do actually. So particularly on the Formula One car, not on RB17, because it's a sort of very different project.
Yeah.
But in Formula One, I do find that come sort of December time, then I've kind of used all the ideas I can think of and putting them into a new car. And I start to feel a bit stale. That's my least creative period, is sort of from around Christmas through to when we start running our own car, and of course simultaneously normally you see everybody else's cars, and then you know, once you're running your own car, then you start to critique it and you see other people's ideas which may be of interest, so then the cycle starts again. But again, I should emphasise that's talking about me. We are a big organisation.
Have you driven every car? Because obviously, like, you design everything. So, like, even the RB20, do you kind of design it and then go, I need to take it for a test spin? Like a chef kind of tasting their work as they go. Do you do that?
No, I don't, unfortunately. So, I mean, I have driven various of the Red Bull cars.
Because you drove the RB5 here, about 14 years ago, I think it was. You drove the RB5 up the hill.
And then I drove an RB7 here about 3 years ago.
Nice.
Couldn't have been 3 years, that would have been COVID, wouldn't it? But anyway,
yeah, it would have been.
Somewhere around there. And yes, I've driven various cars, the RB6 at Silverstone, so...
Yeah, and I do want to remind you that actually last time you were on the podcast, you did offer me a passenger ride in the RB17. So I'm just going to remind you of that. A gentle reminder.
When we're running,
okay,
then
good.
Give me another nudge and we'll...
Well, here's the thing, is I do want to keep nudging you, because there was obviously a very big announcement that was made this year that you will be parting ways with Red Bull during Q1 of next year. You have been the talk of the paddock, the talk of social media. How has that felt for you?
That bit very easy, because I don't really read social media, or I don't particularly read magazines. That's kind of something I stopped doing a long time ago, because back in my Leighton House days, where we were a tiny little team, the first car I did was in 1988, showing my age obviously, and that was a good little car actually. And then 89 we completely messed it up, so I went from being this new hero in the Formula One paddock on the engineering side to the idiot that was a one-hit wonder. And I thought, well, really, you can't kind of read the press when it's good and then get upset about it when it's poor. So on at that point I sort of said, okay, just don't read the press. And
well, here's the thing. The rumour mill is in full force right now.
So,
I mean, I've seen so many interviews with you going, oh, you know, we're just going to have a nice holiday and that kind of thing. But are you now having to second think everything that you're doing, even if you go on just a nice little holiday with your wife at the moment?
So Mandy, my wife, does follow social media, and
we follow each other on Twitter. Actually, me and her. We're becoming friends.
So she keeps me roughly informed of what's going on, but I'm relatively oblivious to it, and I just try to lead my life and not be influenced by it. And you know, it was a really difficult decision. Yeah. A really difficult decision, but one I felt I needed to make for various reasons. The positive on it, though, is that, well, first of all, I felt I needed a bit of a break as well, and that's what we're doing. But it also is, meant that then I can fully concentrate on 17 from now until, as you say, Q1 of next year. And then indeed after that point, after I've, if you like, officially stopped with Red Bull, very much in agreement with Christian, with the shareholders, all the senior people at Red Bull, that I will continue to be involved with 17.
Oh, that's lovely.
On email, on phone calls, dyno tests when we start dyno testing, track testing when we start testing, because I've put too much into this car now as a passion project, much of it's in the sort of after hours evening, if you like, or weekends, to walk away from it at this point.
But also, I don't think it's just the RB17. I think you've been such a massive part of the Red Bull legacy over the last 20 years. I mean, it's been 18 years for you at Red Bull. Has there been any particular moment over those last few years that have stood out for you, apart from the RB17, which I know will be a big thing for you, but is there anything else over the last 18 years that's made you go, I love that moment?
So many. I mean, I was at McLaren before Red Bull, and 2005 we had a good little car. We won 10 races.
I love how you call them good little cars, by the way, but they're definitely not little.
Well, they were smaller then than they are now. But anyway. But I just felt a bit stale at McLaren. I felt like I needed a new challenge, and so I started looking around. And David Coulthard, of course, was driving for Red Bull in 2005, the first season. And he said, look, Adrian, I think this is a great team. You should think about it. And at the same time, Christian made a habit of just happening to be walking the opposite way down the paddock and bumping into me. So we started talking. And I thought, well, it's a big challenge. It's a huge career risk, but one I feel up for. And so when I started, really, it was with the aspiration and hope that at some point we could win a race. So kind of when we won that first, well, we won the race with Sebastian in his Toro Rosso in Monza in 2008, but it felt a slightly funny victory because it wasn't, if you like, it was our car, but it wasn't our team.
Yeah. And
so that first victory in China was in 2009 was quite a landmark, and then going on to that last race in Abu Dhabi in 2010 and winning the championship against the odds with Sebastian's drive that weekend and Ferrari's mistake on the strategy. That was something I'll never forget.
Yeah.
I suppose, and then we had many close championship battles. 2010, then 2012 went down to the last race as well, where Sebastian got spun round at the first corner and had a massive hole in the bodywork and stuff, but we managed to keep going and got that one. And then, of course, 2021, which was I think will be talked about for many years.
Forever, probably.
Yeah, and it was. I think of all my years in motor racing, that was the most difficult year.
I mean, over the last 20 years of Red Bull, I mean, it's been 7 drivers' championships, 6 constructor trophies, and it just seems like it's just going to continue going. And that is largely thanks to yourself, because you are such a car guy. I mean, here we are at Festival of Speed. Is this basically your Disney World?
It is in a way. I mean, look.
Do you go and have a good look around all the other cars that aren't F1 cars as well?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I love old cars, and I love trying to imagine when the designers of those cars were coming up with their designs, what they were thinking, what their principle was, and that. Obviously we're all born when we're born.
Yeah.
But to have been a designer in the 1970s must have been fascinating, because you had a tiny little rule book.
Yeah.
But equally, you had tiny little teams and no real research facilities. So you're kind of designing by gut feel and eye, and so it must have been frustrating at times when you got it wrong and you didn't understand why. But also euphoric when you got it right.
Adrian, thank you so much for joining us. You now need to go out and do your public thing with your RB17.
Okay.
Go and show it off. Yeah. Have a wonderful weekend. And thank you for joining us.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, Adrian has just left, and it is absolutely chucking it down outside. We're all nice and dry in our lovely Airstream. We've just Yeah, we've just led Adrian out into the rain. He'll be fine. But thank you so much for joining us here on Talking Bull. If you've been watching, don't forget to subscribe on the YouTube channel. If you have been listening, don't forget to subscribe as well. Leave us a little review and some stars as well, because it's all good for the algorithm. And we'll see you next time.